We're in the church of Sant'Apollinare in Classe, just outside of Ravenna. This was once the port for the Roman Empire in the early 1st century.
Right, there had once been a large lagoon in between the two towns. That's long gone. This was actually the site of an ancient Roman cemetery, and there is every possibility that the first bishop of Ravenna, Sant'Apollinaris, was actually buried here on this site.
And we see Sant'Apollinaris right here in the center of the apse. But before we get to that, let's talk about the church for a second. We're in a basilica, and like so many churches in Ravenna, it's been through many phases. And just like Sant'Apollinare Nuovo, there would have been mosaics all along the nave, but those are gone.
What we do have is an extraordinary apse mosaic. It's huge.
Let's start with the archway around the apse.
That's known as the triumphal arch.
And in the top center, we see a bearded image of God holding a book, and on either side of him, the symbols of the 4 evangelists.
Right. John is an eagle, Matthew's the man, Mark is the lion, and Luke is the ox.
And they're in a sky filled with blue and red clouds. Below them, we see on the left the city of Jerusalem, on the right Bethlehem, and from those two very symbolically represented cities, we see lambs emerging.
Walking up a mountain, up towards the clouds, up towards heaven.
So clearly a purely symbolic representation, and that continues in the apse mosaic itself.
Largest and most central is a gold cross. In the center of the cross, you can see a small bust of Jesus Christ. Surrounding it is a blue field with 99 gold stars.
On either edge of the short arm of the cross, we see the Greek letters Alpha and Omega, the idea that Christ is the beginning and the end, that Christ is all things. So what we have symbolically represented here is the story we call the Transfiguration, the moment when Christ revealed his divine nature to 3 of his apostles, Peter, James, and John, and they're shown here as sheep in a field. Christ is symbolically represented as the cross.
On either side, we do see 2 human figures, half-length representations. One is Moses and one is Elijah.
And in the story of the Transfiguration, when Christ revealed his divine nature and was filled with white light, Moses and Elijah appeared with him, and God the Father spoke and said, "This is my Son, whom I love, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him." And so this is the moment of divine revelation, this appearance of Christ the man as God.
It's so easy to imagine a 6th century worshiper sitting here, understanding that this is a sort of extraordinary opportunity to have these sacred truths revealed to them as they sit before it.
The figures of Moses and Elijah in a golden sky in the realm of the eternal, below Sant'Apollinare in a more earthly realm, but one represented very schematically and decoratively.
And of course, the sheep are wonderful, especially down at the bottom. There are 12 of them, and it's clearly a reference to the apostles.
And Sant'Apollinare himself stands frontal. We can see his name written on either side of him, just in case we were going to forget or be confused.
That's right, we can't do that.
And he's got his arms raised in prayer, which is actually a position we often see in early Christian imagery.
So in these churches in Ravenna, we see here an apse. In another church, the apse might be missing, but we have the mosaics on the walls of the nave. And we can begin to fit together what these churches would have looked like when they were new in the 5th and 6th century.